This is a new episode of After Capture where I post-process a photo here, just real nice and easy, just kind of showing you different techniques and different kind of the ways that I bring these photos I take to life and just kind of like my overall creative vision with it. So today we got this image I took recently at Huffman Prairie Flying Field. It's a common Yellowthroat, which is a type of warbler that stays in Ohio during the summertime. And so it's just basically it's got a little kind of like worm larva in its mouth that it catched, and it's just sitting on, it's perched on this little thin grass blade in the tall grass prairie. So we're just gonna get started here with editing it. For my settings, I have ISO 1000, f7.1, and 800th of a second. And I was zoomed in all the way at 600 millimeters, just because it's fairly far away, but it was in a nice open spot when they come out of the tall grass. So it was at a nice visible vantage point, which is very, very helpful. Yeah, I also shot with a Tamron 150-600, and my camera of choice that I have. So the first thing I noticed about this, just editing, working with this raw file, something I noticed right off the bat was just how much the color was kind of just stripped away, which I mean, that's a given just because of raw files, because you're supposed to bring back all the colors and the details after the fact. And that's the whole point of post-processing them on your software of choice like this. So yeah, I want to really bring back the greens and really accentuate the yellow, and just give all the colors, not too much saturated, but I want to definitely give them that kind of punch that I'm looking for. So I usually, when I start off editing photos, I usually go down to on Skylum Luminar here, at least Skylum Luminar 3, is that they have different, they call them looks, they're essentially filters, and I usually just use like image enhancers. And so I'm going to do probably this first one, AI image enhancer. So when you first click one of these Luminar looks, it has it at 100% for the amount of the slider you want to use. But as you can tell from this, it was such a drastic difference, and I really don't like this look. It looks very unnatural to me. So I'm gonna slide it back, just dial it back a little bit more to probably about 3/4, maybe a little less. And see, that looks much more. It looks a little bit better for sure. I'm gonna try around 50%, and then as always check this little eye tool at the top, the before and after each adjustment, and you can just see it's already, in my opinion at least, dramatically improved. It brings back the colors a lot more. The grass actually looks green and natural, like there's the overall, the image tone gives it a lot more warmth that I really like. So let me just adjust this slider a little bit more, this AI image enhancer, and yeah, it's not too bad. Whoops, it's not too bad. I think I'm going to keep it there, and then we'll go over here to the raw develop filter, where it just has basic sliders that a photo editor would have. And let's see, I usually bump up a little bit of clarity in my images. Some of them need it a lot more, some of them don't, and this one just get a little bit more. I mean, it's already pretty obvious this bird is distance from the green background. I mean, I hope at least it's the first thing your eyes are drawn to, especially with that little patch of black that goes across its face, just kind of straight across. But other than that, I think we don't really need the AI sky enhancer, of course, even though it's there. We can add different filters. And actually what I'm going to do is, I do this a lot with my wildlife images, especially ones where you have a good look at the eyes. And since we have one good look at the right side of this Yellowthroat's face, I'm going to use the dodge and burn tool. So what I do is I zoom in real close, and I just add a little, maybe 1 or 2 clicks worth of this lighten with the brush. And I usually keep it at 100%. The size is 100%, but the strength is about 50%. This is the default, but I find that works for me. So yeah, I just did one little click, and then that's pretty much it. What it does is it brings out the eye, especially if I don't really like to make images where it's like the wildlife, or even the subject for that matter, is in like shadow. But yeah, the dodge and burn can kind of help just to add a little kind of just pop of brightness really to the the overall subject. In this case, I think it's important because of the black streak across its face. I want to put more distance or like contrast between that, the black streak, and then the eye, which is also black in this case. So, other than that, I might bump up contrast just a little bit. Just checking my histogram up here. Yeah, it looks not too bad. It's actually in the middle, and it's almost leaning more towards the right, which looks pretty good. It was a nice even exposure. And the moment I took this photo, even though it was a pretty bright sunny day when I took it, in this moment, at least for shutter capture, it looked more diffused, as you can kind of guess or tell from the overall lighting. Now for sharpening, I use a Luminar specific tool. It's called Details Enhancer, and I usually do that last. So we'll do that in a moment at least. And other than that, and just because I feel like I'm already done with it, it's kind of gone over too quick. Let's go crazy. Let's do a crop, or at least look at a crop and see if there's anything that looks interesting. So I'm really obsessed with 1:1 square crops. I just find them work really well and effective with like shooting top-down flowers and macro. And birds like this are nonetheless good. And then you can put it like the middle like this, or since the bird's looking to the right, you can have it kind of off-centered, so there's some kind of negative space where it can kind of look that way. But I might actually do something else. So we could do a 5x4, and that kind of just eliminates some of the more space. Or we could do 7x5, just knock off a little bit more on the left side at least. We could do. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna do 11 by 8.5. So I'm gonna apply this crop here, and yeah, it's always fun to experiment with crop. So especially wildlife photos, when you take the image and it might be really far away, this just really helps to, if you crop in to kind of basically zoom in, hopefully without losing your pixels or your, the image quality too much. You don't want to deteriorate. But I feel like this looks really nice. It's actually, I think this crop helped a little bit. So other than that, I think that's just about it. I mean, there's tons of tools, but at this point, it's like I've kind of already got my workflow kind of nailed down at least, or just the handful of sets of tools that I would normally use. And another one we could use, or at least mess around with. I don't use this one too often, even when there is foliage, but it's called the Foliage Enhancer on Skyline Luminar here, and it basically just pumps up the greens. See, like, look at that. But it's a little too dramatic, of course. See, without it, I don't know, I might try it. Like I said, the more time you spend on an image, the more you overprocess it. So there has to be like that fine line where you just kind of cut it off and you're done with it. But yep, I'm going to I'll do a little bit of it. Yep, see, that provides some nice color. Here's before and after. You can just really see that difference. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. So I think like I said, don't overprocess it, but the histogram still looks pretty good. So yeah, not much to it. One of these days, I promise I'll get a image that requires a little more legwork. Well, not that you really need to, but it's just like hopefully to recover the image, or at least. So yeah, as I always say in the previous videos, and this one's no exception, the way I catalog and organize my photos, so I do it by, in this case, since it's a bird or any kind of animal species, I do its common name. because I messed this up. Speaking of common yellowthroat. So, and then I do acronym, so do CY, and I'll just do an O1. Easy as that. Or not, because I forget I had more of them on there. So, just kidding. We'll just do like, it's however many images you got. And then if you want to even break it down further, your cataloging, you could do like the location even. You could break it up in folders, or you could rename these export JPEGs with the location name. So in this case, I would do Huffman Prairie, just just further make it easier to search for images, and just as I call it, feature-proof your whole backlog or catalog. So yeah, it's exporting now. As always, JPEGs at 80%. I really don't go through the whole process of TIFF files. I just don't feel a need to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Always edit your photos. Spend equally as much time editing them. Well, not, that's not a rule of thumb, of course, but you should definitely devote a lot of time to editing your photos as much as you take them, and then from there even I would recommend printing them. I find that process to be a whole lot important, but that's a whole different field of knowledge for another day. But yeah, this has been a common yellowthroat, guys. I edited here, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you like, or tell me an image you think not so much a commission, but tell me an image you think you would like to see me edit.